The next very important concept was willingness to accept status quo. Now, you must be thinking what sort of status quo I am talking about. You know, as a teacher, do not try to change the student to understand your delivery, rather innovate so that you maximize their learning. This is what I mean by willingness to accept the status quo. Willingness to accept the student with his inherent set of characteristics, his positives and his negatives. Do not have some predefined notion about the student, that this is a good student and this is a bad student, and categorize any new student that comes into your class into either a good or a bad or a neutral. Do not do that. Accept them the way they are. The important characteristic of higher education is that as a teacher we address a very heterogeneous crowd. There are people coming from different backgrounds. It is important that we accept all who enter the classroom door despite of the differences that exist due to culture, family, their experiences, the sort of schooling they have had, language barrier, intelligent quotient, their aspirations, their dreams and all that. Accept them, and then only you will be able to frame a teaching policy or a methodology or instructional plan for them and will be able to deliver. This entire thing is what I am calling as profiling. Profiling of a class as a whole and each as an individual. Mark my words, profiling class as a whole and each student as an individual is important. So, what am I supposed to do as a teacher? There are lot many things. Figure out what students know, what background they have come from, which schools they have come from, what are their ideas, what is their ideology, what are the figures whom they take as role models, what are their aspirations, what they want to become, why they are into this course. You know, aligning the objective of the class, of the teacher and of the student is very important. In fact, the funny part is all of them are common. Then why am I using the term aligning all of them? In the end they are common, but before you start a class they might be different. Getting my point? So, what I am saying is coming on to a common platform to decide upon a minimum common program, that is something that is expected as a teacher. So, when I said that accept the students the way they come in, the reason is that you will not have to mold much. Try to mold your pedagogy instead of the student. Understand and create a repertoire of approaches for teaching your students and different learners with diversity. Have flair of freshness in your delivery, do not be monotonous. That would be the best essence or best you can do to your class. You know, there are so many different things of ways of telling a common thing. Have those things in mind. When I said a repertoire of approaches, this is what I meant, that you must, why I am saying this. A student might say that you explained a topic with full earnestness, and at the end of it a student stands up and says, sir, I did not understand. What are you going to do now? Repeat the same process again, same method again, same explanation again. Again, what is the guarantee that if the student did not understand the same thing in the first go, he will understand it in the second go? Getting my point? So, idea is adopt a different approach, try to teach him from a different perspective, maybe going down to the basics, being more basic level, but you will have to change. So, this is what I meant when I said repertoire of approaches. Next is identify learner's strength and weaknesses. Again, it is part of profiling. Not all are alike. There would be some students who are really outstanding, exceptional. There are others who are mediocre. In schools, normally you will have a different section, section A toppers, section B mediocre, section C lagging behind. Maybe I will not advocate any of these approaches, it can always be debated, but in higher education we rarely have such combinations. We have a common class, we have the heterogeneous mix, all students coming in different backgrounds, different intellectual level, and then as a teacher we need to balance. So, try to identify them and adopt some specific technique, maybe peer learning. You have a very brilliant student sitting with another student who is bit weak in concepts, both will grow, because that brilliant student is becoming a teacher now. So, being a teacher is the most noble cause we are or the profession you are having in the world. So, doing that thing, he grows. Use your knowledge base to connect students with information resources that allow them to explore ideas, acquire, synthesize information, frame and solve problems. If you remember, the information about your knowledge, the things which I mentioned into your knowledge base, this is what is required here, that if you have this entire collection, you know where, when and what to use. This is what we expect from you when we say that accept the class in the form they are, the status quo. Then I come to the next part of it, plan for instructional management. Again, it is a very unique term, it is a very technical term, especially those who are coming from education background. You must have come across this term very frequently, but here what I am talking about is into a different context. Instructional management, or in laymannish terms we might call it as classroom management. Sounds very simple, but it is not, it is very specialized. The most important factor governing student learning is classroom management, or more technically speaking the instructional management. As we move from school level teaching towards higher education, this art is overlooked and rarely given a thought to. So, it is essential for a teacher engaging students in higher education to do this planning. And again this planning has been given a definition. We say that the definition says that instructional management is a set of events and procedures involved in the decision to initiate a specific activity for either a class or an individual student or both. There are other researchers who have stated that classroom management covers all of the things that a teacher does to organize students, space, time, materials, everything, so that instruction and monitoring the progress of the pupils, and involves making decisions on the pace of instruction, the grouping of the children, the sequence of the lesson and the individualization of instructions. The instructional management system provides a framework for making decisions for classroom management at any grade level, but one level has to be selected for initial development and demonstration. Now, these are many definitions which I have talked about. And next I am going to show you a diagram. The diagram which you see here, it rather combines all of the definitions which we have seen so far. Let us look at it. It says that the definition of instructional management thing, again it has been proposed by Tosti and Hermann long back in 1972. Education, it took a formal shape long back, and still we are relying on to the same basic concepts. Few things have changed, technology, the implementation details have changed, but fundamentals still remain the same. That is why I said refresh your basics. Okay. If I talk about the definition of instructional management, at the base of it you have organization. Now, the question arises, what is organization? By organization we are talking about organizing the students, maybe in the form of sections, classrooms. If you remember a little while ago, I was saying that students in certain schools are classified in sections on the base of the intellectual level. That is one level of organization. There could be other organization basing on their linguistic strengths, basic on the basis of their areas of interest, it could be any. So, as a teacher you are the best judge, it is more of administrative part, but yes, as a teacher you need to be a part of it. Space, where I teach, how I organize my space, how do I plan it? Do I go for traditional mode wherein I have the entire class facing me, I am standing opposite them and delivering, having a sense of achievement that yes, I am a teacher and you are my pupil and I am leading, I am the king of the class. Trust me, things are changing. Utilize the space in the best possible manner. There is no rule of thumb that says that class should always be in a two-way wherein teacher is opposite to the students or students are opposite to the teacher. Why can't we have a semicircle? Why can't we have small groups? Why can't we have a different arrangement? Think of it. So, this is what I mean by organization. Time. How much time I need to give to a specific content? Again, time has different flavors. Time is the time of the class. Many people interpret it as what time I am conducting the class. Many people say for how long, for what is the time for which I am conducting the class. Time is how long I have been conducting the class, but again yes, time is a very important component in your organization. Then comes materials. I have students, I have decided how to place them in a class, I have decided upon the time, when to meet, how long to meet and how frequently to meet, everything. Now, all this has to be substantiated with material. Where is the material for that? What is the material I am going to use for that? This all comes under organization. Once I have done this, once this organization part is taken care of, next comes the progress. I have planned something and now I am putting it into practice. So, maybe I have grouped the students, provided a class, decided a time, decided upon the content and now I am delivering. The process has started. Now, you need to look at the progress of it. Maybe this grouping was not appropriate, the timing was not appropriate, the arrangement I am using is not appropriate. So, constantly the progress has to be followed, so that you do not deviate. So, this is what we meant by progress. Along with them we have the procedures. Procedures are the set of activities which you are performing. Now, these procedures are something which keep on changing and it is at the discretion of the teacher. If he wants to modify the procedures, definitely he or she can. Any procedure which I have adopted, if it is not efficient, if it is not delivering the desired results, I will obviously try to modify it. So, these are the procedures, how you implement them. Then comes the events. Events could be lot many things, like some people say event, exam is an event, maybe yes, but for me an event could be a group discussion which I had. Plan them. So, events are something that are very much subjective to the teacher and how they look upon those things. Decisions are involved, a lot many decisions are involved. Again, I cannot give you a common checklist that these are the set of 10 decisions which you take. The decisions are n. It all depends the sort of pupil you are teaching, the sort of environment you are teaching them in, the sort of subject you are teaching them, the instructional methods you are using them, so many different things corresponding to them, decisions would be involved. And these decisions, they actually shape the success of your classroom management. There could be good decisions, there could be bad decisions, and again there could be decisions which can be debated, but let us not debate them. Again, taking decision is an integral part of class management. Last but not the least, monitoring. Whatever classroom management technique or the procedure or scheme your approach you have adopted, please monitor it, because unless and until you get a proper feedback of it, you cannot actually assess it whether the strategy was successful or not. So, this was all about the instructional management process. In fact, if I go on to its theoretical foundation, several forms of instructional managements are identified, like we have aspiration management, we have prescriptive management, achievement management, motivation management, enrichment management, maintenance management, support management and what not. These are all different approaches that are well documented, and I have given you food for thought. You can definitely look upon these topics, but as of now it is beyond the purview or beyond the scope of what I am discussing with you. I am not going into details of this, but I will definitely provide a list of things to do while doing classroom management. Like these are no rules as such, these are simply guidelines. These are something which people have, or researchers over a period of time have understood, identified, suggested, recommended. So, I am not saying that these are certain rules, but these are the basic guidelines sort of thing, that if you do, better it is. It is like develop knowledge and abilities to use program of studies and learning resources suitable for students. Deciding upon the right mix of tools and techniques is very important. You have your knowledge base with you. What to pick from that knowledge base? The ingredients. You can be a wonderful cook if you know what are the right components to be put at the right time. Develop that knack. Contemplate onto all forms of teaching ideas and activities. Normally, and that is I said earlier also, do not be monotonous, keep on bringing some freshness into your delivery. So, this is what I am saying, that how you can deliver the same thing in some better manner or alternative manner. Again, you should sequence content to be delivered into comprehensible lesson plans or unit plans. Again, it is fundamental to most of the classroom management techniques. So, again, there is no point in opposing it. It is wonderful thing and tried and tested. We must do it. Before going into a course or a class, I must have a lesson plan or a unit plan with me. Be ready with the compilation of relevant analogies, illustrations, examples, explanations, demonstrations, etc., what not. A class in which you are teaching a very serious topic, the pressure is mounting, the students are scratching their head. Amongst all this, you come up with an anecdote, you come up with some analogy. It is icing on the cake, it is wonderful, people love it. And such classes, researchers have shown, are the most remembered classes. I still remember those classes, or the sort of jokes my teachers have cracked in even my childhood. So, these are the memories which we cherish. So, let us give memories to our students also. That is why we are saying that give them a different dimension, give them a different perspective. If you and students are looking at a concept from a same viewpoint, how do we differ, is not it? So, this is some freshness or some spice that you need to add into your classes. Knowledge and localization of various materials is very important, definitely what to put where, and basic understanding of practice of assessment and evaluation. I will talk more about assessment and evaluation somewhere down the line, but trust me, assessment is not of the student, it is of the teaching practice or the teaching method. So, student is not faring well in a subject, it is not a question mark onto the student, to certain degree it is a question mark onto the delivery of that content also. Again, I have given a very controversial statement, but it can be defended in both ways. So, this was all about different methodologies or the concepts which we can implement into our classroom or into classroom management.